It's truck and tractor time again in the House Loop Battle of the Bluegrass Pulling Series. This time up from the heart of Kentucky, work stock trucks and hot farm tractors. Stay tuned.
What is pulling? It's the only motorsport measured in inches. Pulling involves tractors and trucks hitched to a special sled with a moving weight box. The goal is to haul the sled as far as possible before the shifting weight pulls it to a stop. The longest pull wins.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 7th annual Farm Boy Farm Girl Brand Bluegrass Nationals presented by Moon Pie. We're at the Boyle County Fairgrounds in Danville, Kentucky. So, what is a work stock truck? Well, just like it sounds, you might find these on the road or working around the farm. They're all diesel powered, they're all four-wheel drive, but with souped up engines and weight boxes on the front to maximize traction.
Well, these trucks haven't seen a work site in a while, making well over 1,000 horsepower. Later on, the hot farm tractors will be in the pull too.
An interesting combination of high-tech and brute force, but let's get started with work stock trucks. This is Doug Monroe's Dodge.
Doug Monroe, one of the top pullers that pulls with the House Loop Battle of the Bluegrass, but he's from the Hoosier State. Picked up his first victory this year in Falmouth, Kentucky. He has got a good run on that beautiful Dodge, blowing the smoke in the dust head.
Full pull, 304.6 feet. Let's check in with Brett Kepner on top end.
304 and it didn't really bog down until the last 5 feet. It sounded like it was pulling good.
Yeah, it was pulling real good. I thought about turning it down, but I think the sun being out, the track's going to dry out.
Yeah.
Well, Ted, a full pull traditionally is 300 feet, but the House Loop Battle of the Bluegrass has declared this event a floating finish line. They're going to try to pull it up the hill. Here's Ethan Prowse, young man only 19 years old, and he's got this Dodge going hard.
All the Dodges running that powerful Cummins engine. It's a battle of the brands and a battle of the diesel manufacturers. 301.42. That's good enough for second place. Now, Austin Fulks will be up next with his Dodge.
You talk about a young driver. Get this, Ted. He doesn't even have a driver's license. He's 16 years old. He's got his permit, and he's already a 5-time winner on the House Loop Battle of the Bluegrass Series. This young man, Ted, I think he's going to take over the lead.
Righto, Tommy, 305.67 feet. Let's go to Brett.
You sounded like you launched easier than anybody. Were you worried about this thing breaking up early?
No, I figured the track was so loose that you had to come off easy to get it hooked up. And
You're the only one that figured it out so far. Let's see if it holds.
thank you.
Here comes Thomas Carmichael. Interesting name. He calls it his dream, her nightmare.
An accurately named vehicle. Check out the diesel smoke. It looks like a choo-choo train has gone off the tracks, Ted.
Big 4-inch stacks right there spewing forth that diesel smoke. He's on a real run, too. Oh, wow. Talk about the sport of inches, 305.49. That'll have to settle for second place. Let's take a look at it one more time with our House Loop instant replay.
If you're ever at a House Loop event, be sure to reach out and grab that smoke. Take it home with you.
Here's Brett.
Nothing worse than 3 inches short.
I've been building this truck for 2 years, and second pass on it, I'm pretty happy with it.
What?
Here comes Taylor Cooper in his Dodge. All Dodges so far.
This has got to be one of the winningest drivers in the work stock category. Over the last 6 years, he has picked up well over 20 victories, and he's the guy that started the trend of putting your winner's checks in the back seat. The big display checks are like trophies. These guys love them, and he takes over the lead, Ted.
New leader, 315.17 feet. As we go to break, we'll take a look right here at the work stock. Taylor Cooper on top by about 10 feet. This House Loop Battle of the Bluegrass Series brought to you by Farm Boy Brand, knee-deep and loving it. And by House Loop, professional grade performance since 1920. And by Moon Pie, the original marshmallow sandwich. You're watching the Housley Battle of Bluegrass coverage of the Farm Boy, Farm Girl Bluegrass Nationals. Now, here's Tom McConnell.
One of the great things about the Housley Battle of the Bluegrass Pulling Series, you come to an event, come hungry, because there's plenty to eat. Moon Pie, the official snack food, Faygo Soda, the official soft drink, and of course Bubba Burger, the official burger, and they got barbecue too. And we got our master griller here, Melvin. How good is this stuff selling? How good does it taste?
They're awesome. They're awesome burgers.
They also got the Bubba barbecues. That stuff move good too?
Yes, sir.
Well, you're always busy at the events. I'm glad to catch you when you're not too busy, man.
There you go.
Well, let's get back to the track and catch the action, but that Bubba Burger's mine, I promise you.
Okay, McConnell. Hey, save one for me, too. Here comes the hustler. This is Bo Curry, another Dodge.
Well, you can tell something about this truck. Doesn't have the extended cab version, so the wheelbase is a little shorter. It's a four-wheel drive, not running the dually rear end. He's got a lot of power, but just doesn't have the weight or the chassis combination to get the job done. 296 won't do it, Ted.
Well, do you think that's because he's not a dually? I mean, the rest of the guys are 300 feet. Carl Fuchs, the rough and ready, coming up.
Strong running Duramax. This class dominated by the Dodges, but when you see the Chevrolets, you can guarantee one thing. If there's a Chevy with a Duramax, it's a tough one. Carl laying down a good run, Ted.
Looks like he's training for 300 feet. Oh, just a little shy. The sport of inches, 299.09. Brett Kepner is there.
I knew I wasn't going to do great, but I did pretty good considering it was my first time.
This is your absolute first pole ever in this series.
Yes, sir.
Here comes another Dodge, dominated by Dodges. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Austin White.
RPMs are coming up great. This truck is growling, Ted. Can he transfer the power to the ground?
I love the name, Bits All Pieces, he calls that Dodge. Looks like he's on a pass. He's going past 300 feet, 306.27. And Stuart May, the pilot of our drone cam, caught this one for an instant replay. Take a look at this, folks. You want to see pulling from above?
Love the shot on this, and you can see at the end, Ted, he's going. The weight transfers him. Right at the end, runs out of power. He's done.
You're the first guy that had to go hunting out there. Was it starting to break up in the middle?
Yeah, this is starting to break up a little bit. It pulled me across that left side.
Oh, it pulled you across. I thought maybe you were just looking for better dirt.
Well, I was headed that way, but once I started that way, she kind of took off on me. Went that
So
way.
you just went along for the ride.
Yeah.
More Dodges. See him hooking up right there. That small hookup is a safety device. If the truck gets away from the sled, it'll shut the truck down. Nathan Hood, the driver.
Nathan Hood has run this truck in the Pro Street category, stepped back down to the work stock, down only in power, but 1,000 horsepower. That's plenty of power for me, Ted.
306.06 feet. He is in the running. Now it's Chevrolet Duramax time. You're looking at Ben Stramer, the track marks.
Strong running truck out of Lexington, Kentucky. Started life as a four-wheel drive. Last year made the change to a six-wheel drive with the dually add-on. And that rear end is digging in the track, Ted. Hey, he might just take over the lead.
He did. 317.68 feet. Let's take another look at it with the Howes Lube replay. Let's check in with Brett Kepner.
Well, there's one way to stop the Dodges.
Yeah.
Put a V8 Chevy out there and murder them.
That's right, yeah. This is our first pass, really.
Here are the current standings. So Ben Stramer took the lead over Taylor Cooper, but it's not over yet. Stay tuned.
You'll find all kinds of interesting stuff in the pits at any Howes Lubes pull. But who would have thought that we'd be looking at these two gigantic whatever they are? Derek, what are these things?
There's diesel engines. You got the 671 Detroit and a Cummins 903.
If I'm looking right there, that's this famous 671 supercharger that everybody used to steal off of those, right?
Yes, it is. They're popular for the performance engines.
That's a really old engine.
Late 60s, early 70s. We buy and sell diesel engines, good used parts and cores.
horse.
What's the most sought after used diesel engine right now?
The Cummins ISX engines, and then also the Detroit 60 series engines.
I wouldn't imagine that there's very much response for the old supercharged engines, is there?
No, not much anymore. They use them on off-road equipment, drilling rigs and pumps and things like that.
See, I was only thinking of something with wheels.
Welcome back to the Boyle County Fairgrounds as we cover the 7th annual Farm Boy Farm Girl Bluegrass Nationals presented by Moon Pie. Ladies and gentlemen, our next puller is Kevin Perkins. He calls it Pretty in Pink. Wonder why.
Well, I'm not sure of the story of that, but I'll tell you one thing. As far as the Dodgers are concerned, this guy is the biggest threat they've seen in a long time. You're defending Howes Lube champion, but Ted having major problems out here tonight. Just now getting the boost built up. Not sure what's going on with Perkins, but that's not a very good run.
Now let's check in with Brett and find out what happened.
That didn't even sound like one of your normal pedals. You usually get right through it.
Oh yeah, just driver error, my fault.
You're man enough to admit it. Show us that tattoo.
All right, Dirty Max. How about Caitlin's toy for Eric Brockman? It's got to be a story behind that.
Well, it's actually named by the truck owner. Kyle Ruby named this truck in honor of his daughter, calls it Caitlin's toy. This truck, when Kyle Ruby had it, was your 2010 Howes Lube champion in the Pro Street class. Doing a good job tonight, but not going to take over the lead.
Here's Brett.
That's the only way you can get down through there. You just got to give it all to it.
Good job, second place.
Thank you.
All right, Ben, you've got this field covered by a ton. What are you looking at now? As the track gets later, it gets more chewed up, you think anybody's even going to be remotely able to hit 317?
Well, we got one guy out there. He's got a pretty strong running truck. He's up now, I believe. We'll see, I guess.
And that one guy would be Cody Hardesty right there.
Cody out of Louisville, Kentucky, currently #1 in the Howes Lube Battle of the Bluegrass point standings. He's only 21 years old, but he has got the Dodge nailed down, Ted. He just took over the lead.
336.86 feet. Brett Kepner is on top end. Oh, very unhappy man right there.
You drove that track better than anybody, including the first couple of pullers.
Yeah, thank you. It's more than just driving. A lot of work in the truck, but
absolutely.
It was a great track. It hooked up good.
Anybody that thinks pulling is an old man sport needs to watch this program.
You got it. The diesel trucks have come on, Ted, and fans love them. It's what's really inspired is this diesel culture that's come into the sport of pulling, and I just love it.
Here is Matt Vaughn, ladies and gentlemen, in his Dodge.
Vaughn laying down a straight run now. Does he get pulled to one side? No, he just gets pulled down, runs out of power, 301.08.
And here comes Mac Cotell.
Mac, a strong running truck. Have seen this guy get close to winning before. It's not won any beauty contest, Ted, okay? He's put all the money inside. You see Cody Hardesty looking on. If Mac cannot beat him, Cody's gonna win it. Is Cody smiling? He should be.
308 feet. Let's go to Brett with our winner.
You won it, buddy.
Couldn't be happier. It's a pretty big pull for us. Probably the biggest one I've ever won.
What all has been done to this truck? It doesn't look like a streeter anymore.
There's a lot of chassis work, fully built motor, all kinds of little things that add up.
That driver, like I said, you sounded like a test pull out there. It was that smooth and on track that everybody said was breaking up on the start line and in the mid-range. Unbelievable job.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations to Cody Hardesty, a great pull. Now, coming up next, the Hot Farm Tractors. Brett has more on that.
When we get into the Battle of the Bluegrass, brought to you by Howes Lube, you're going to see one amazing category, the Hot Farm Tractor Division. Now, Sean Knopp knows all about it. Why? Because he was the World Championship winner 2 years ago in this particular category. And although there's a turbocharger size maximum and a weight maximum on these particular tractors, there's something else that Sean can tell you all about right under here. Sean, it looks like magic, but what is it?
That's a Fair Valley dead log. It records all your EGTs, your boost pressure, oil pressure, fuel pressure, gives you a good readout of what your tractor does going down the track. It also helps you tune it. Motor runs a little hot, you can put a little more water, a little more fuel to it for the next run.
Now, I would imagine if anybody was able to tap into that, they could also find out things like, oh, let's see, engine RPM.
There's another box similar to this one on the sled. All its job does is record RPM.
Now, there is a 3,000 RPM limit as you're making a pull in this class. What happens if they find out from the sled your tractor's turning more than 3,000 RPM?
You're DQ'd, plain and simple.
From a tuning perspective, do you set it up to run 29.99 down the course, or do you give it a little more leeway?
It depends. If it's a tight track, you can give it a little extra to stay loaded. If it ain't, then you better play it safe.
Have you been DQ'd?
Several times.
By how much?
1 RPM is the worst.
Wow, 1 RPM. You think that's tight? Wait till you see the finishing distances on these hot farm tractors.
This coverage of the House Loop Battle of the Bluegrass Series from Danville, Kentucky is being brought to you by Farm Boy brand, knee deep and loving it. And by Bubba Burger, you'll never bite a burger better than a Bubba. And by House Loop, professional grade performance since 1920. Well, as Brett told you, here comes the 10,000-pound hot farm tractors, and this is James Hayes. He calls it Daddy's Dreamer.
Daddy's Dreamer just picked up his first victory last night here at the Farm Boy, Farm Girl brand Bluegrass Nationals. He is still beaming from that win. In fact, his head could barely fit in his helmet. He was gloating so much. James laying down an awesome run. Let's go to Brett.
Track's about like it was last hook and track. Last night I looked up, won the class, and I made a good hook. Could have turned it down, but I think that's a good hook. I'm going to stick with it.
Now, by explanation, the first puller can either take the hook or turn it down and go to the end of the line. Very wise at 313 feet in keeping that one. Meanwhile, Tim Hornback will try and beat that number.
Well, Tim Hornback is your defending Howes Loop Battle of the Bluegrass champion. He's also the promoter of the breast cancer awareness pool that you'll be seeing later this year on NBC Sports.
Let's check in with Brett.
It pulled to the left. I had to hit the brake, come back. When it did, it got me about 10 foot probably. You know, that's about what it does when it does that.
Here comes a Ford after the two internationals. This is a limited edition driven by Sean Knopp.
Sean Knopp, the only Ford in the class. This guy knows how to do it, Ted. Your 2010 Howes Loop champion. Ford fans are screaming. Can he take over the lead? Set there by James Hayes. No, it's still Big Red on top.
As our next puller hooks up, let's take a look at his tractor. He won the Farm Boy brand Best Appearing Award. Here's Brett.
Only the hardest core of pulling fans will remember back when the Case Company was not involved with International Harvester. But this absolutely magnificent 1030 version, that's real live Case body work. What year?
It's a 69.
That motor's nothing like an IH, is it?
No, we run a Case motor. Reason we built the Case is because we do excavating work and we run all Case equipment.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
You were around when Case was around on its own.
That's right.
Shelby wasn't around when Case was on its own. Who drives and why?
We both drive. We take turns. I really just started getting into it again last year. I ran it a couple times when it was farm stock back in the day, and then it got too much power for me to handle, and he's just now trusting me with it again. So.
Well, the only reason that a dad would let a daughter drive is because she's doing better than you.
Sometimes she can, yes. She beats the guys, and they don't like it when she does that.
But you do.
Oh, yeah, we like it.
As long as it's not you.
That's right, as long as it's not me.
Right. Who's driving tonight?
He is tonight.
Why?
I get next weekend.
She gets next week. We drew straws.
All right, so Alan will do the Case of Chaos tonight.
He is a former two-time winner on the Howes Loop Battle of the Bluegrass Series, winless so far this year. No IH in this case, but right now, Ted, I think he may have taken over the lead. Yes!
A great pull of 316.14 feet. We look at it again with our Howes Loop instant replay. Meanwhile, Brett Kepner's waiting for him.
We were trying to get it to hook. We had to play with the brakes. We hit the brakes about 4 times, which probably cost us a couple feet in distance, but that's what you got to do, keep it between the white lines.
Now, while the wives competition gets ready to hook up, Brett has another interesting story.
The hot farm tractor class has an awful lot of character. Different brands, different power plants, different states from which they hail, but there's a name that deserves that explanation. The Thomas brothers, Levi and Laramie. Wives competition?
Well, our wives, they feel like the tractor's in competition with them most of the time.
Whose wife gets more angry?
I'd say they're both pretty equal. I think they sit there together and they come up with a plan to get us back some way.
All right, which one do you belong to?
The big guy, Levi.
All right. Why is this such a big deal for you?
Something he loves to do. We do it as a family.
Oh, so it's not really a threat
No,
anymore.
not anymore. We've had our times. We've had our come to Jesus meetings about it, but now we're good.
Okay. How about you? How long did it take for you to finally just surrender?
Oh, not very long.
Really?
I enjoy it just as much as he does.
Well, I notice we've got, what, 4, 5, 6 generations here enjoying it.
We do.
Well, there you go. It's not really a wives competition. It's more like the wives run the whole thing.
And congratulations as he gets the Moon Pie Best Engineered Award. But let's see how he can do on the track, Tom.
Well, I'll tell you what, he has had a heck of a year, has won a lot of hooks, but we're coming down to the big one. Alan Powell sitting on his case, hoping he can pull off a win yet this year.
There you go.
Yes!
Alan Powell will be your winner.
That's the only reason you get on this tractor is for that feeling.
That's it. We've worked our butts off for 3 years for this tractor because we built one of the first 3,000 RPM case tractors in the country, and we talked to everybody in the country, and nobody knew what we was going to do, so we did it ourselves, did it our way, and it paid off tonight.
Indeed it did. Alan Powell, our winner by 3 feet over James Hayes. Here's how they finished out. And that'll bring to a close our coverage. But we have one more award, the Faygo Soda Hot Run of the Day.
Oh, there was no doubt that Cody Hardesty would not win this. The longest distance all night long. Cody lays down a remarkable 3:36 and change, winning the work stock and the Faygo Hot Run of the Day.
That'll bring to a close our coverage of the 7th Annual Farm Boy Farm Girl Brand Bluegrass Nationals from the Boyle County Fairgrounds. So long, everyone.